First up from WeGo, Steve Bland.
Well, good morning, everyone. It's really a delight to welcome you all here to the Dr. Ernest Rip Patton Jr. North Nashville Transit Center. Seems like we have you all out here about once a month or so, so it's always a pleasure to come out for an event. We're delighted to welcome our today's theme, I think, is going to be partnerships. Partnerships to advance mobility and advance equity in transportation, particularly in Nashville, but actually nationally. So it's a delight to welcome Robert and the US DOT team here to our city and at the US Department of Transportation, so that's impressive. He also reminded me of our prior connection when we were both in Pittsburgh. He at Carnegie Mellon, me with the transit agency, so what goes around comes around in this business. So today we're celebrating 2 grant awards from US DOT, SMART Grant Awards, which is really intended to deploy technology to improve the operation of transportation systems. I'll tell you a little bit about our grant coming up in a minute, and Diana and the NDOT folks will talk some about theirs. Our grant program is called, is a Stage 1 award for $1.9 million, and the overall intent is to improve the reliability of transit services in the Murfreesboro Pike Corridor. Our number 55 bus, the Murfreesboro Pike bus, is by far the highest ridership line in our system, now approaching 5,000 riders a day. It is growing rapidly compared to pre-pandemic levels of ridership. We are up over 35%. It continues to grow. And on the not as positive side, it's also one of the trickiest ones to keep on time, reliable, avoiding things, what we in the business call bunching or gapping, where buses get too close together or too far apart. So the intent of our project is to deploy technology, and that technology includes things like our satellite-based vehicle location systems, computer-assisted dispatch, machine vision, and artificial intelligence to essentially communicate to our system ways to keep that spacing consistent. The initial project will help us with this 13-mile corridor, which is key to our system, but long-term, we want to deploy it in all of our frequent network corridors, including the Clarksville Pike Corridor, which is right behind you and in front of me. I want to acknowledge and thank, for her presence, our board chair at Metro Transit Authority, Gail Carr-Williams is here, as well as all of our staff. And I particularly project, we'd be here way too long, but I do want to specifically call out our Deputy Chief Operations Officer for Systems, Dan Freudberg. The partnerships he's developed with our friends at Vanderbilt and in the scientific community to deploy technology in our system have been amazing. So Dan, if you're here, he might be out. I was going to say, usually when I catch him, he's debugging something going on in the system. And now as we kind of continue the themes of partnerships and mobility, I want to introduce someone who I didn't know before she came here, but who's actually become a dear friend and quite a colleague. Our director of the Nashville Department of Transportation and Intermodal Infrastructure, Diana Alarcon. I think I can refer to you as a partner in crime. Yes. It's non-criminal crime, but we've been able to accomplish some incredible intermodal opportunities in the relatively short time she's been here. And as they say, you ain't seen nothing yet. So, Diana?
It's true, y'all ain't seen nothing yet. Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming out this morning to honor and celebrate the City of Nashville's great partnership with the U.S. Department of Transportation. I found in my years in working in this industry that partnerships matter so much. I'd like to take a quick moment to thank my project team who worked on NDOT's Phase 2 SMART grant application. I think Derek is responsible for that, and I saw him when I walked in the door. So, Derek, you give a yell out. Back there you go. All right. And also including our amazing staff and our university partners. I'd like to thank our mayor, who is so supportive and engaged around issues of transportation, as well as members of our Metro Council. I'd like to thank our great partners at the Tennessee Department of Transportation, and last but certainly not least, I'd like to thank Dr. Hampshire and everyone at the U.S. Department of Transportation for giving Nashville not one, but 2 SMART Grant Awards. Yes, it does. 10 million. It's going to do a lot of great things for us. Technology and innovation is a huge part of our work at NDOT, and I'm always in awe of what we can accomplish when we harness technology for good, capture data that can change people's lives, and transform the way we do business to be more efficient and more responsive to the needs of our community. Through phase 1 of our SMART grant funded work, we were able to identify safety issues on a corridor that runs right in front of this building, Clarksville Pike. But we didn't wait for a police report to show us where people were being struck. Instead, using LiDAR technology, we watched vehicle, pedestrian, and cyclist movements to identify near-miss locations. And now, thanks to data, and also to our partners over at WeGo, we have a brand new pedestrian hybrid beacon, otherwise I like to call a hawk, mid-block that's right in front of the transit center. Phase 2 will allow us to extend this technology to one of Nashville's deadliest corridors, Nolensville Pike. And through the project, achieve the largest installation of LiDAR technology in the entire country. It is through these innovative and data-driven efforts that we will move toward achieving our Vision Zero goal of 0 deaths and serious injuries on our roadways. Some of our great partners in this work are brilliant minds. Some of our great partners in this work are the brilliant minds at the Tennessee State University, and I'll have Dr. Quincy Quick, Associate Vice President, Chief Research Officer of Research and Sponsored Program at Tennessee State University, come up now and make some remarks. Thank you.
Good morning. I first want to acknowledge Dr. Hassan, who's actually leading the Tennessee State team, working with Nashville Department of Transportation by this funding effort and opportunity supported by the U.S. Department of Transportation. So on behalf of Tennessee State University and our president, Dwayne Tucker, I want to say thank you again. We're part of this partnership with Vanderbilt University, UT Chattanooga, and of course, North Nashville Department of Transportation. And so, of course, you learn as the chief research officer, you're always a student. And one of the things I've been learning from one of our other cabinet members is never compromise safety. And I think that this initiative is certainly exemplary of that, that you don't want to compromise safety. This project embodies one of the fundamental concepts and cores of research. So I'd be remiss if I didn't say that, because one of the cores is to make a lasting impact on society. And I think exactly this is what this is doing with this project, particularly with the citizens of Nashville, and more specifically and in general across the state of Tennessee. This project will employ state-of-the-art. The students who are over there sharing with me their LiDAR technology, AI and machine learning technology as well as a part of this project, and to implement it. And I think that synergizes with the city of Nashville's approach to integrate technology to sort of enhance the quality of life for their citizens here. So I think all these things are really, really great and outstanding. Community engagement. You can see all the engagement here in this room is a huge part of it. So there's a phase 1 part where the PIs and the project directors from Vanderbilt that I talk with, as well as along with Dr. Hassan and the students, engage with the community. And that's important because you need to hear their needs. And that's going to continue into phase 2. And so again, I just want to say thank you. I'll stop there, and I want to say thank you for all the opportunities that you're going to provide to our faculty, staff, and students. And we look forward to moving forward with the partnership. So thanks.
So over the last couple months since November 5th, I've been to a number of public events where I've heard this next gentleman thank a whole bunch of people for something. So I think we need to take the opportunity to thank him at this moment for his leadership in advancing transportation and mobility in Nashville. For many of us who've been here some time, he's not only a great leader, but a great friend. So it's my distinct pleasure to introduce the Mayor of Nashville, Freddie O'Connell.
Thank you, Steve. Unfortunately, that's not going to get me to not thank people today. This is such an exciting moment, and I think the people that you're hearing from today are indicative of why. I will say up front, I'm going to choose to hear partners in crime, where crime is actually collaborative relationships and intermodal enhancement, as something that is not a violation of law. But I do also want to take a moment in a specific period of thanks, as we still are experiencing cold weather, to thank Director Alicon, Philip Jones on her team, and all of NDOT's snow removal team. This was the reviews of our performance as a city were exceptional this time around, and Director Alicon, thank you. Really impressive effort. And meanwhile, Steve joked about it, but where we're standing today it remains as important as it was on the day we cut the ribbon and on the day we actually broke ground. This is the Dr. Ernest Rip Patton Jr. North Nashville Transit Center. It's a facility that serves as a connection, a connector, a reflection of the community. You can see in its name on the walls around us and even in the art that is being inlaid in the sidewalks as you approach it. It was built with the community not just in mind, but as an active partner to Steve's theme of partnership, as well as with state and federal government partners. State contributions actually covered a third of the cost for the $17 million facility, and Commissioner Ely from TDOT was here multiple times over the course of the project, including at the groundbreaking. Federal dollars paid for nearly half of it, with almost $8 million, as well as a DBE Prime overseeing the project. And what I'll say is what we're achieving here in this facility and on the roadways nearby, where I think you all will get to see the technology firsthand today, those of you who can stick around, we're trying to build a more connected city through investments in all three of safer streets, better transit, and technology. And the fact that we've got university partner and students and researchers here with us today is also a demonstration that we are stepping outside of the ivory tower to combine rubber, road, and code. And it was a bittersweet reflection for me at the end of 2024 and starting 2025. I realized that calendar year 2024 was the first time in 30 years that I had not actually written a line of code, which was a distinct change from most of the rest of my professional and academic career. But this work begins with the connections we build with each other. The city's leveraging advanced data to deliver multimodal safety initiative is a research collaboration. Steve mentioned partnership, and we will keep saying it. NDOT, WeGo, University right now, and that is exciting today to be joined by Dr. Robert Hampshire, U.S. DOT Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary and Chief Science Officer for Research and Technology. But before we get to him, I want to talk about this notion of connections. The SMART grant projects aren't one-offs. We're not delivering this in isolation. Phase 1 was not delivered in isolation. You can see its applicability to this facility and to the people who use this facility, the operations that take advantage of this facility. And if you go over to our state-of-the-art traffic management center, which opened just a few months ago, you can in real time see the people approaching this facility, whether they are on foot, at motorists, or in transit vehicles. And all of those things are adding up to the definition of SMART. This is a larger strategy, and Steve referenced the success we've had as we continue to increase our investments. In November, Choose How You Move, our transit improvement program, passed overwhelmingly at the ballot box, and we achieved another significant win this week in court, defending it legally and demonstrating once again to the public, not only is this something we know that the public is hungry for, but that we have checked all of the boxes necessary to ensure its success along the way. During the Phase 1 pilot of our SMART approach, the research teams used LiDAR technology to detect near-miss collisions between all types of users in North Nashville, Nashville Pike, DB Todd, and Buchanan Street. And that work actually informed improvements to safety that have come since. New signals, a mid-block speed driving, and a 75% reduction in crosswalk events in the focus areas. So we have been able to make real-time interventions that are already producing return on our investment in safer streets. Now, Phase 2, which is even more exciting, will expand our work to other areas of North Nashville and along the Nolensville Pike corridor, which is one of the most dangerous roadways in our city. Improving safety on Nolensville is a top priority under the Vision Zero program at NDOT. Nolensville Pike will now see a combined $23 million federal dollars invested in safety-related improvements. We were already a participant in US DOT's Safer Streets for All grant program, and we had local match funding for that. Nolensville Pike is also designated as an all-access corridor as part of the Choose How You Move program. So is Murfreesboro Pike, which you heard Steve refer to, where WeGo is working through that SMART grant process also to optimize that high-frequency bus service. These all-access corridors are simultaneously some of our most heavily traveled routes for motorists and transit users, and unfortunately some of our most dangerous. That is why this focused investment is so important for safety. We're stacking these grant opportunities across federal programs to make them safer for all Nashvillians, no matter how we are choosing to move. So again, not only the design of Choose How You Move as a program we could offer to voters possible, but we'll now make implementation of it successful going forward. And as you know, it was built on 4 S's: sidewalks, signals, service, and safety. We did work with an alliteration consultant on this, and they said don't use SMART until you get the grant awards. And so now we can add SMART to that. Leveraging partnerships is SMART. Leveraging technology in new ways to help us make better decisions is SMART. And of course, taking advantage of historic federal funding opportunities to improve safety and infrastructure is SMART. Less smart is sending tax dollars to other cities who are invested in improving their transportation improvements. That was one of the key arguments we made to voters, and it's something that we are now able to stop doing. We are able to invest in ourselves instead now for a generation to come, and we are eager to show our federal partners that we are serious about long-term, predictable, reliable investments in transit and safe infrastructure. So now it is my honor to introduce one of our key federal partners, an expert in engineering systems and transportation equity, U.S. Department of Transportation's Chief Science Officer, a role that had actually not been filled in more than 40 years, and we are so lucky to have him in Nashville today. I hope you'll help me welcome U.S. Department of Transportation's Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary, Dr. Robert Hampshire.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for the partnership. Again, the theme continues. It's an honor to be here. My name is Robert Hampshire. As we heard, I'm the Chief Science Officer for the U.S. Department of Transportation. And today, we celebrate not one, but 2 transformative SMART grants right here in Nashville. A total of $12 million across the 2 awards are just really exciting to be here with you today. And certainly I want to recognize certainly the mayor for your vision, your leadership here locally, but also you being a beacon for the nation as well in your leadership, particularly the vision around transportation and infrastructure. Thank you so much. It's with that vision that this fall, certainly the voters here, as you know, with the Choose How You Move initiative is really a testament of how you can galvanize support for these projects that really matter. The 2 SMART grants today we're highlighting are perfect examples of how certainly you can improve the lives of residents every day, how you get to work, commute, visit and connect with your friends, but how we can use technology to help facilitate that to those ends. The first grant you heard is one that really builds on a previous phase of Street Safer by deploying LiDAR, the nation's largest deployment of LiDAR ultimately, to be proactive in how the department is addressing safety. Instead of waiting for a crash to happen now, you can be proactive and prevent crashes before they occur using this data-driven approach with LiDAR, which really is a modern, cutting-edge way that we should promote safety. The technology also, we decrease in high-speed driving in the test areas, as well as a dramatic decrease in dangerous pedestrian crossings. So you guys have already seen results, and I look forward to seeing all the results that come as it scales up. You know, this approach is not one that's just, again, technology. It's really focused on safety, and along with that came community engagement. An important piece here is that the community has been involved as it relates to if there's any privacy concerns, if there's any concerns about where the deployment under the leadership of Secretary Buttigieg is critically important. These are local projects. These are projects that we're funding that you all have defined, your communities have defined, so you can be thriving in healthy places. And that's just something to be commended. As I see students here as well in that process, students from TSU, and have been engaged, and in fact, not more than just engaged, award-winning participation, and so a big kudos to you all. The second grant, as we know, is one that's going to help improve transit reliability along the Murfreesboro Pike. We drove through that earlier today and see the challenges and the amount of traffic that's there. And really there, we're looking at making sure that transit is reliable, on time, that you don't have to wait. You can reduce the wait times. And that's something that this project, the Phase 1 project, we're looking forward to the results, preliminary results that come out of that phase one. So thank you. As we look towards other partnerships, again, I want to make sure that Vanderbilt University is acknowledged as partners. University of Tennessee at Chattanooga are great partners on this project, along with Tennessee State University. All of this is power of collaboration, and I'll end here where Steve started when it comes to power of partnerships and engagement. I think this really is, we're here as a federal U.S. Department of Transportation partnering with Nashville, but it really is the great leadership of those on the ground here and also the citizens of this city. And you all are just really to be commended, and I really look forward to continued partnership and seeing what comes out of these projects, particularly as it relates to safety. Because my colleagues at the United States Department of Transportation come to work every day worried and concerned about safety. This is our #1 mission. We have over 40,000 people a year who die on our roads. This is unacceptable. We must get to zero. Those are more than just numbers. Those are mothers, daughters. I always say this was my cousin who was killed in a car crash. And so safety is something that our colleagues and our secretary care deeply about, and I know you do too. So look forward to the results that come out of these projects, and thank you all for being here today.
I would be happy to open it up for questions for any of today's speakers for just a few minutes here. Johnny, you want to start?
Yes, thanks, guys. So how can this technology, work? You talked about the volume of congestion in the area, whether it's on the highways, on Murfreesboro Pike, on Owenfield Pike. How can the technology work to strategize that around not just maybe widening or building roads, but strategizing where that traffic goes and easing congestion?
I could speak a little bit to the transit reliability. So on Murfreesboro Pike as an example, and a target for all of our frequent network routes, we operate every 10 minutes. But if you've driven Murfreesboro Pike or most of the arterials around Nashville, that's a dicey guarantee to make. So the technology that Robert and USDOT are supporting will essentially give us the technical tools with Diana's support, NDOT support, through things like transit signal priority, transit signal communication, machine vision onboard our buses through our digital technology, so that if in the long term in Murfreesboro Pike we want to develop dedicated lane capacity to be able to move that throughput. In the short term, it will allow our controllers and our operators to manage their spacing. So it might very well be, even though that bus is behind schedule, he needs to slow down so he can stay 10 minutes behind the one in front. Or it might trigger an early green at a queue jump for that bus to bypass a congested intersection. So the goal is to maintain that reliability. On days of extremely heavy traffic, where we may need, on a typical day, 14 buses to operate the Murfreesboro Pike corridor, our operations staff would know if we want to sustain 10 minutes, we need to throw 16 out there to keep that up. So again, while I think we work on the longer term infrastructure upgrades that will truly, quote, reduce congestion, technology is an extremely efficient way for us to maximize the capacity that we have now.
So I think something in addition that I want to add is that this technology will actually really provide and complement Choose How You Move. So in Choose How You Move, we're going to be upgrading up to 600 signals that are going to be real-time adaptive. That's going to allow for us to really prioritize transit throughout the whole city, as well as also prioritize how we move people in cars in a safe way, but also efficiently. And the technology that we're going to have through the LiDAR system, continuing with our partnerships that we have here today, we're going to be able to actually make that, use that technology to even become more efficient, but at the same time focusing on safety being #1.
And I think to that last point, a lot of safety has to do with predictability. And so what you could see as soon as we had students out here identifying places for that phase 1 smart grant implementation, and as soon as RIP Patent opened, you can already see those reactive enhancements that are already on the ground today were reflections of things we saw in terms of both pedestrian and motorist behaviors at this site. When you are able to decrease the number of pedestrians who are surprising motorists, and instead both are operating with safer infrastructure and shared expectations and predictability and reliability, it actually means not only does the corridor become safer, but also traffic flows better, pedestrians are crossing when and where indicated, they're being safer, motorists are having a safer experience, and so it is a marginal congestion mitigation and a major safety enhancement. So all of those things come together.
On a more timeline level, is there a time frame for where folks can enjoy these benefits on, say, Murfreesboro, Pike, or Nolensville?
Even in advance of the SMART Grant Award with USDOT, which will allow us to accelerate the partnerships with Vanderbilt and the other educational institutions, have allowed us to start work on that. So I think you'll start to see at least modeled outcomes certainly within a year. So we'll be going hard at it with our university partners. And also I'd highlight that this leverages private sector partnerships. We've had real excitement from our private sector partners, whether it's our vehicle location system providers or the real-time transit app providers or our digital camera providers, because they see, frankly, the business enterprise opportunity in being able to leverage the technology. So I think not only are we going to leverage the federal dollars involved, but you're going to see significant private investment.
And for Nolensville, I think what's really going to be a great opportunity is, we do have the Safe Streets for All, which is very much a transformational, as that's also going to be in collaboration with Choose How You Move, since that's an all-access corridor. With this, we'll be able to actually identify where there is some safety issues and address them in a short-term way. So I feel like the community will actually have some really great outcomes in the near future, and then a much better really benefit how people move no matter what mode they choose along Nolensville, and they're moving safer. So I'm excited about it.
I have a non-grant question. Mayor, could you speak to the legislation that was filed recently on the Fusus technology guardrails?
Sure, you mean at Metro Council? Yeah, we knew that Councilmember Roland Horton had expressed some concerns on the floor, and so he had then expressed some interest about creating some codified safety and privacy guidelines, so reached out to our office. This so far has been a very collaborative approach, and we're supporting him and his colleagues, and hopefully creating not only a policy framework, but also a second round of public discussion on this that leads to broader support.
And that would lead to the contract itself being brought back.
That is our expectation and hope, but we're obviously eager to see how the council discussion starts again this Tuesday.
Also, semi-unrelated question, but today Governor Bill Lee announced a special session focusing on immigration. A lot of these folks are people who ride Vigo buses. Wondering kind of if you...
In changes in the federal policy landscape, I will say I was a bit surprised about inclusion of immigration specifically in the special session that's been called, and so Darren Jernigan in our office and our overall team are looking at it. We will probably engage our Department of Law to review any outcomes of that special session, because for us, just like today's conversation is about safety, we want to maintain both public safety and personal safety for all Nashvillians.
Anything further?
Back to LiDAR, if you don't mind. For someone watching this press conference or any of our stories later, what's the extent of this LiDAR technology? Does it pick up road conditions, stuff like that? Is it just for traffic in this case?
So in this case, the technology is designed to actually help us with identifying improvements in safety. So it really is targeting in. As far as what LiDAR can do, yes, it can do a lot. You can expand it to where it is picking up roadway condition as well as picking up placed and broken sidewalks for that matter. But our focus is strictly coming in on the safety aspect and identifying where we can engineer and improve the roadway network so that we can move everybody in an extremely safe manner.
Yeah, and this LiDAR technology really is some cutting edge technology that allows you to detect the things that Diane mentioned, but also in a way that protects privacy for citizens. So it doesn't, you can't see anyone's face, or it's really just an outline, and And so it has the best of both worlds. You can detect things in detail, but in ways that protects privacy was an important part as well.
All right, that in the interest of time, we'll be respectful. We'll head outside. My colleague Eric Melcher, if you'll raise your hand in the back, can lead us all outside. Everyone will go out together to look at some of the technology that's on the intersection right out here that Eric can show us, and it'll give a good visual of what we've been talking about. Thanks, everybody.